Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing the final hukum from Ahkam Noon As-Sakeenah and Tanween, which is Al-Ikhfaa. But before we do that, we're going to do a quick recap of what we said last week, which is Al-Iqlab. We said Al-Iqlab lughatan is to change something from its original form to something else. And we said istilahan is to change Noon Sakina or the Tanween if after it is a ba, which is the only letter of Iqlab, if after it is a ba, to a meme. And we said it's two harakat and it can be in one word or two words. And today we're going to be talking about Ikhfaa. Ikhfaa is lughatan, means to conceal something. As for istilahan, it means to pronounce a word in a state between idhar and idgham without shadda and maintaining the gunna in the first letter. So we have 3 points here. We have pronounce a letter in a state between idhar and idgham without shadda and the gunna in the first letter. Now what does this mean? As you can see the table in front of you, we have the idhar and idgham, the previous ahkam we learned, and ikhfa. And we have mouth part and nostril part. Now what does that mean? Mouth part as in, do we hit the noon? Do we pronounce the noon? That's what it means, mouth part. And the nostril part, is there a gunna? Okay? So let's take it one by one. Idhar, let's say min amal. Min amal. Now do we hit the noon? Do we hit the makhraj, the point where the noon comes out, the sound of the noon? Do we? Min amal. Yes, we hit the noon. So, yes. As for the nostril part, is there gunna coming out when you say min amal, min amal? Yes, there is a gunna. So, yes. As for idgham, for example, we're going to take one without idgham, without gunna. Mil ladunna, mil. When you say mil, do we hit the noon? The makhraj of the noon, the point where the noon, sound of the noon comes out? No, right. No. In the mouth? No. As for gunna, is there gunna? Mil, no, there is no gunna, so no. Now, ikhfa is a state between idhar and idgham. For example, the word al-insan. Al-insan, if you pronounce it with idhar, is quite difficult, you could say. To say al-insan, there is some kind of mashaqqa. What does ikhfa do? If we're going to use ikhfa, we're going to say al-insan. Al-in. So, since there is a Noon Sakina, that means it's from Ahkam Noon As-Sakeenah and Tanween. And since after it is a sin, that means it takes the hukum of Ikhfaa. Now, what does that mean? What do we do? What happens exactly? It is similar to al-idgham, where you don't pronounce the noon, where you don't pronounce the noon from the mouth part. You don't hit the makhraj, the point where the noon, the sound of the noon comes out. But it differs from idgham in shadda. There isn't a shadda. Idgham has shadda, but Ikhfaa doesn't have shadda. So when we say al-in, what happens is that we make the gunna sound come out where we are on the noon, okay? We're not doing anything to the noon, we're not combining it with the letter after it, just like idgham. No, the noon is there, but it's invisible. That's why it's called hukm al-ikhfa. It's invisible. Only the nostril sound is there. But the noon itself, you don't hit the noon. You don't pronounce the noon. You say al-in. So when you're on the noon, you don't pronounce the noon from the mouth part. You have gunna that takes 2 harakat. And while the 2 harakat are still going, your tongue should be prepared to pronounce the next letter. Al-insa. Your tongue should be ready to pronounce the next letter, which is after the noon, which is the sin, after the 2 harakat is over. Does that make sense? So it's similar to idgham, where you don't pronounce the noon from the mouth part. The difference is, in ikhfa you don't have shadda. And there is gunna. We're comparing it with idgham without gunna. What about idhar? Idhar, the same thing. The similarities between ikhfa and idhar is that there is the gunna. But the difference is, you don't pronounce the noon. So with that being said, now let's finish the table. Al-insan, for example, mouth part. Do we hit the noon? Remember, we said the noon is it's invisible. So only the gunna is there, but the noon itself is invisible. So do we hit the makhraj of the noon, where the noon comes out from the mouth? Al-insan. No, we don't. So, no. What about nostril part? Is there gunna coming out from the nose? Is there sound coming from the nose? No, I mean, yes, sorry. Yes, there is. Al-in, right, there is. So, yes. So, just to summarize, so your tongue should be ready to pronounce the next word, and when the two harakat are over, you pronounce the same. Al-insa, al-insan, al-insan. Like this. Inshallah, makes sense. So this way it means a state between إظهار and إدغام without shadda and having غنة in the first letter. The letters of إخفاء. We said the letters of إظهار are أخي هاك علما حازه غير خاسر. The hamza, the ha, the ain, the ha, the ghain, and the kha. And the letters of إدغام, we said it's يرملون. And the letters of إقلاب, which is only one letter, it's the ba. So إخفاء is the rest of the Arabic letters. طيب, now that all is out of the way, let's get to the examples. The first ayah from Surah Al-Baqarah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم من ذا الذي يقرض الله قرضا حسنا. So where's the إخفاء here? First of all, let's look at the Noon As-Sakeenah and Tanween. Is there a Noon As-Sakeenah or Tanween? There is one here and there's one here. Now let's look at this one. What's after it is a ha, and ha is one of the letters of إظهار, right? It is. So no, we're not. This is not إخفاء. Here is the حكم of إظهار. And here we have ذال, and ذال is a letter of إخفاء. So we say ماذا, two harakat, and the tongue should be on the ready to pronounce the ذال when the harakat are over. The second example, هل أتى على الإنسان. The إخفاء here, الإنسان, two harakat. Tongue should be ready to pronounce the scene when the two harakat are over. The next one, وعد الله الذين آمنوا منكم. The إخفاء here is منكم, منكم. The next one, جنات تجري. Where's the إخفاء here? The إخفاء is the تنوين and the ta. And the last ayah, لاهية قلوبهم. The تنوين and the قاف, لاهية قلوبهم. So this concludes the final lesson of أحكام النون الساكنة والتنوين. ولله الحمد والمنة على الإتمام for being able to finish this. But there are few things that I left out because I wanted, they're like side topics, you could say, kind of. So I wanted to put them all in one video. Like, for example, what's the difference between الإظهار الحلقي and الإظهار المطلق? And there is the إدغام الكامل والإدغام الناقص, and here as well the غنة. For example, يعني in the إخفاء I'm talking about. For example, why is the sound of the غنة in لاهية قلوبهم different than منكم, for example? لاهية, you see the sound? What about منكم? Why is it so different? منكم is منكم. Why are the sounds different? So inshallah, it probably gonna be next week. I mean, not next week, the week after that, probably, or maybe next week, Allahu Alam, but probably next week or the one after that. So do look forward to that video. Barakallahu feekum wa jazakumullahu khairan. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.